Oh man. Oh man, oh man, oh man. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is, I'll name this segment later, GTG Spits That Grease, so on and so forth. You guys know how this all goes. Anyway, the title hasn't already given me away. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about DSP's little blow up the other day. It wasn't really a blow up, I'm over exaggerating. But he spoke on would Cat come back to his content? He spoke about Mike Klum and that documentary, and he spoke about something else that caught my interest too. I think it was T. Carter. He brought him up again. So this is all of those same stories, just the 2025 edition. In any case, we're only going to tackle Cat first because there's a lot to cover. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. In any case, DSP gave us his usual spiel. You know, hey, she wanted to come back. She wanted to come back and do content with me and whatnot, but she can't because of detractors, trolls, haters, and critics screwing her over. And or making her, it sounds like realistically actually, he makes it sound like detractors, trolls, haters, and critics made her question herself, whether she was smart enough, whether she was entertaining enough, whether she was attractive enough. He put all kinds of just insecurities and doubts on this woman that we haven't actually heard from her because she barely talks anyway, even though she does display some of it. That just what husband, and I use that term loosely for him, what husband would do that? It's really, really bizarre. And keep in mind though too, and she knew this when she shacked up with Darkside Phil. The moment she walked into the Snort, the fucking Snort fort, into the vortex, that she was gonna have the eye of scrutiny on her. She knew this. This was a package deal, right? And I'm surprised that she really doesn't take more offense to how he belittles her and how he degrades her when she's brought up. You know, we only really hear about her when it comes to food, and he's taken shots at her weight since at least 2022, if not 2023, especially when he's using it in the reference to Wings, Boogie, Review Tech USA, stuff like that. So but anyway, he put that all on detractors, trolls, haters, and critics on why that can't happen. Then he heavily shifted to something that I always felt like he would, given enough time. There are personal problems going on, guys. There are personal issues behind the scenes that we're dealing with, we've been dealing with, and we'll have to continue to deal with. And she just doesn't have the time or the energy, essentially, to participate in the content right now. Now, what that tells me is she's sick, which she is sick, obviously, mentally, but she's also physically sick. All that weight on such a small frame has come back on her with a vengeance, and she's probably not handling it well, which is interesting because, yet again, it's funny how over the last couple of years, DSP has boasted, has been prideful, though he doesn't have any pride. He's been ego-driven or egocentric about the weight that he's been losing and how he's been able to keep that weight off. And yet it seems like Cat pretty much ate up everything that he lost. It seems strange because if you guys were really a healthy, loving couple, you would be losing weight together, not one of you losing weight and the other one piling it on. Seems strange. Now keep in mind, it's the same idiot who sat there and told her she couldn't have a gym membership anymore and botched the construction of an exercise bike that I'm pretty confident a couple of a couple of 12-year-olds could have figured it out if you can, you know, work a pair of tools. So that's a thing. So the detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, her health and personal and other personal issues behind the scenes. And then his third excuse for why this can't happen, why we can't ever have Khet Burnell ever back on DSP Gaming or in DSP's content, apparently is, and this is his terminology, so to speak, not mine, the setup is a one-man situation and she's not gonna fit. That's basically what he said. She's too big, too rotund, if you will, to be able to fit in the setup. The setup is only meant for dainty men like himself, and I use the term man loosely, and no one else. She's just not going to fit into the scheme. She doesn't fit into the business the business strategy or the business plan, let alone can she actually fit at the workstation. and he kind of took a shot at her with this too, with the multiple camera angles. I guess that she wouldn't have a good side that they could focus on, so that wouldn't look good either. It's really fascinating how Catherine has been used over the last few years as window dressing, as a curtain, as a draw at times to participate in the content, mainly when he's desperate, mainly when he's on his last fucking leg is when she gets drummed into bullshit. But because DSP is spending all of his money frivolously on credit, by the way, that came out recently from what I've been told, and the fact that he's still in Kino Casino's good graces for the time being, he doesn't need her. He doesn't need her. He doesn't need Brian. Doesn't need anybody but Kino Casino, but the loving embrace of PPP, and that's it. And that's literally what it comes down to. This is a boys' club. This is a man cave. This is a man's area. I use that term loosely because DSP is the furthest thing from a man, to be honest. And she's not needed nor wanted. She's a hindrance, to be honest. That's basically how he made it out to be. He tried to go ahead and frame it that, you know, he's trying to protect her and it's her choice. And whenever she wants to come back, she can. But she's so demotivated by what detractors, trolls, haters, and critics have done to her in the past, she doesn't see a need to. And once they do work out her problems, you know, her medical issues, her personal issues, what would be the point? What would be the value in coming back and being ridiculed by all these mentally fucking stunted people, just like the first time? Well, it makes someone like me wonder, why did you ever convince her to stop making content in the first place? She had her own platform. She was doing her own thing. And for her to be with you, she had to give all that up. And then you try to whore her out later, and you couldn't make that happen because she was demotivated, she got comfortable, she got complacent, and now she don't want to do a goddamn thing. She just wants to play Elden Ring, or she wants to play Skyrim with no mods, by the way, and just sit around and eat DoorDash. That's a you issue. That's a you problem, not anybody else. The greatest detractor in Darkside Phil's life will always be Darkside Phil, and the effects that he's had on Catherine is understated at times, to be honest with you. More so than even people like myself could even give viable credit to. He's been a detriment to that woman, to be honest. Now, keep in mind, she's there too. I'm not white knighting for her or nothing like that. There's other people that can do that. But she's part of the problem. Let's not get it twisted. But he's been a detriment to her. Very much so. And that's what you would do to an employee who doesn't have any options or any real motivations to do anything else. And in a lot of ways, her and DSP are two sides of the same coin. She probably feels, and she probably has felt for a while, she couldn't do better than her current situation. So she dealt with it, or she's dealing with it. And so that's why we're at where we're at, you know? And these mounting health issues and everything, or personal issues, as he likes to call it, that she may or may not have, how's DSP going to cope with that when he's sitting there building his own Pee-wee's Playhouse up there in his little office space? How much of that money is being delegated to her health? If Jasper can't get a $300 fucking blood test, you're telling me that Catherine's getting a physical twice a year? How's her dental looking? How's her vision going? I'm asking a real question here. Do I care? I shouldn't. I'm curious. I'm wondering. How is she doing, Phil? I mean, we don't ever hear about DSP ever going to any appointments or anything. Of course, he says appointments all the time, but when's the last time he went to a doctor's appointment? When's the last time he had a blood test? You know what I mean? When's the last time he had a physical? When's the last time he had his teeth checked out? The way he keeps eating, and it looks like it's excruciating pain when he bites into anything, makes me wonder that there's problems there. It's easy to go ahead and throw all of this on the people who watch your content or who criticize you, this, that, and the third. But the truth is that the majority of that criticism is always going to be posed back to you. She's your wife who lives in your house and whatnot. Should be their house, but you know what I mean. And whatnot, you see her every day. You never said anything to her? You never attempted to try to help her? But how could you? You can't even help yourself. You're out here with all these faceless people that are clowning the shit out of you, and you've warped it into something so much more than that, and you can't get yourself out. That's the reason why you're over there under PPP's fucking breast. That's why you're suckling at that. Because you can't help yourself. You can't do anything. So what can you do for her? And I get it, Phil. What's the point of exploiting someone who's already been beaten down anyway? She's damn near ready to go to the wax factory, or the glue factory, I'm sorry. She's damn near ready to go to that anyway, so what's the point? What's the point of having her on the content? I get it. It's not right, but you know, it is what it is. And see, if you had a bit of a long-term thinking, you had a bit more foresight, you would have let her continue to make content. See, you were so scared that something was going to slip out of her. You were so scared that she may somehow overtake you, like she was somehow competition instead of a compliment to you, that now she's pretty much useless. I know that seems kind of brutal. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. Now you can't do a goddamn thing with her. Instead of her taking care of you, I assume you probably spend the majority of the time taking care of her. Explains why you're so stressed out. Explains why you're so angry and frustrated. You sat there and paid for a maid, and you had turned her into a patient. It's very well deserved, to be honest with you, for both of you, to be honest. You guys deserve what's happening to you. I don't wish that upon you, but you certainly earned it, both of you. And now, if the Kino Casino thing ever falls apart, what are you going to do? If you are somehow breaking some type of TOS with the way you're operating these little scam goals and all this other bullshit that happens, what are you going to do then? You're making more and more money, or at least so it seems. I assume taxes are a lot higher for you now. What are you going to do about that? And you have this spending addiction, not just WWE champions, but all the nonsense that you're spending in your little office space there. You seem hell-bent, let alone desperate, to crowd your space, to fill your space. Where's that money coming from? Where is that money being delegated from to allow you to spend it so freely, so liberal, if you will? Leisure, if you will, is probably a better term for it. You're so leisurely spending that money. Where was that money supposed to go? Do you even have any savings put together? What happens if Kat does get sick and she needs to go to the hospital, and she has to stay in the hospital for a week to a couple of weeks to months? You gonna be able to cover that, champ? How are you gonna do it? How stupid are you gonna fucking look coming back to the internet and saying, guys, I need you guys help covering these medical bills and shit like that that you guys are racking up, after they ain't sat there and given you what, $1,500 every 10 goals that are hit for DSP tries it, and you didn't save a lick of that money? What are you gonna do then? I know I shouldn't be laughing at it, but I really don't give a fuck. Just like you don't give a fuck, Phil. You could care less. So why should I? Why should anybody else? So when that day comes, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It'll be interesting to see how you decide to navigate that. I'm interested to hearing what kind of sob story that you're going to give them. I feel like you're already prepping for it, and you just haven't figured out how to execute yet. Because if something does happen to her, everybody's going to point right to you. And, you know, Kino Casino is kind of slowing down right now. They're getting into their slow periods. They need to start, you know, kind of conserving and whatnot, and thinking about themselves and what they're going to do to get themselves through the slower parts of the year. But your begging never stops, does it, Phil? So what are you going to do? You can't convince her to come and do the content. There's really no demand to see her anyway, which is the reason why you cucked Mike Klum out of that situation in the first place. What's the plan, Phil? This is bigger than just, you know, your wife being fucking made fun of by a couple of people online. She can't handle the criticism. She can't handle the fact that she did fuck up and make mistakes, and she doesn't have the will nor the motivation to get herself out of it. And she probably realizes, better late than never, but she's probably realized that you can't help either. You can't even help yourself. And that's the reality of it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. Very much appreciated. And like I said, the video that should accompany this should follow. It should. And you guys will get to see for yourself in real time. It's a pretty pathetic situation. It's pretty pathetic how he threw her under the bus, using her size and her mental health and stuff like that to justify why he doesn't need her at the moment. But what else could you expect from Phil Paul Burnell, DSP, Dark Side Phil, Dark Geppetto? I couldn't expect anything less, so why should any of you? Too bad Kat didn't realize that when she was actually in a position to try to change it. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. This is, I'll name this segment later, GTG Spits That Grease, so on and so forth. I'll catch you guys for the next one. Later, people.